Have you ever experienced something that made you question reality? Like a déjà vu moment or a premonition about something that's going to happen. Maybe you've seen a ghost or had a near-death experience. Well, I'm here to tell you that those are nothing compared to what I went through. It all started with an elevator button. Something so simple, yet it changed everything. Allow me to explain. I'm a man in my early 30s, living a modest life in a big city. I work as a maintenance worker in the tallest building in town. They call it Nova Tower, a majestic structure of glass and steel, reflecting the city's vibrant energy. The lower floors are bustling with shops and restaurants. As you ascend, the atmosphere changes. By floor 50, the hum of activity fades away. Above the 75th floor, only the elite few reside. The upper floors are a sanctuary of luxury apartments and high-powered corporate offices, far from the hustle and bustle below. And that's where I come in. My job might seem mundane, fixing things that most people don't even notice, but it's in these unnoticed details that I find satisfaction. However, one Tuesday morning, everything changed. I was on my usual rounds, checking the air filters on the 120th floor when I got a notification on my tablet. It was a message from the building's AI system, a cool artificial intelligence that keeps Nova running smoothly. The message read, "Proceed to floor 212. Emergency malfunction." I frowned. There was number 212th floor in Nova Tower. The highest floor in the building was 150. This had to be a joke or a glitch. But when the system doesn't respond to my reboot command, something inside me snapped. Curiosity overrode my apprehension. I had to check this out. Switching to manual mode, I punched in the number 212, expecting to get back a message or an error code. What I got was silence. The elevator lurched upward, but there was no movement on the display screen. The emergency lighting flickered ominously, casting long shadows on the mirrored walls. Each second that passed without a response from the system brought a fresh wave of anxiety. Had I made a terrible mistake? Was this a prank by some bored techie? Or was there a real problem lurking above the 150th floor? After what seemed like an eternity, the doors slid open. I stepped out into a musty, dimly lit space. The plush carpet that cushioned the floors of Nova had been replaced by cracked concrete. The modern art installations had been stripped away, revealing bare, stained walls. The buzz of activity I was accustomed to was gone, replaced by a heavy silence. I wasn't in Nova. I was somewhere else. Somewhere cold and forgotten. Somewhere that didn't belong. As my eyes adjusted to the gloom, I saw a door at the end of the hallway. The stark white paint was chipped and peeling, but the brass plaque on the door gleamed brightly in the dim light. It read Temporal Gateway Unique Authorized Personnel Only. Curiosity burned within me, overpowering my fear. I couldn't help myself. I walked towards the door and slowly pushed it open. The room beyond was like nothing I had ever seen. It was filled with machines and wires and tubes that pulsed with an eerie green light. Computers with cryptic displays lined the walls. And at the far end, a colossal clock dominated the room. Its hands frozen at a strange sequence of zeros. As I stepped deeper into the room, my eyes fell on a small table near the clock. On it was a pad of paper and a pen. And scrunched up in a corner, something that looked like a hastily written note. I picked it up and uncrumpled it, revealing the message, "To whoever finds this, do not restart the elevator. The consequences are dire." At that moment, I knew I should run. I should turn back and pretend I never saw anything. But something kept me rooted to the spot, perhaps the promise of an adventure or maybe the morbid curiosity that often overwhelms us humans. Whatever it was, it led me to make the worst mistake of my life. When I turned back, I noticed a keypad beside the elevator. Fretting over my decision, I still had a chance to leave, to shut the door and erase this entire episode from my mind. But instead, compelled by an unknown force, I punched in a random sequence of numbers. With each click of the keypad, the humming of the elevator grew louder. The pulsing lights became more intense. The air grew thick with anticipation and dread. And then the doors slid closed, and the elevator shot upwards with incredible speed. The journey to the 212th floor had taken mere seconds. But the return trip was different, much different. It was like a scene from a sci-fi movie. The elevator was shaking violently. The lights flickered erratically. And then everything went black. I heard a loud grinding sound, and the air grew cold, as if I'd been plunged into an ice bath. When I regained my senses, the first thing I noticed was the smell. It was the same stale, dusty air that I had encountered on the 212th floor. Confused and disoriented, I stumbled out of the elevator. And that's when I realized with a jolt that I was still on the 212th floor. I was back where I had been before, except now the familiar hum of the building's activity was gone. The plush carpet was now rough concrete. The sleek, modern interiors had been reduced to bare bones. I was trapped in a decayed version of the building. In the days that followed, the scenes kept repeating. I would wake up and everything would seem normal. I'd go about my daily routine, fixing faulty thermostats and leaky faucets, patching up plaster and painting walls. But as the day wore on, the subtle cues would start to emerge. The office chatter would fade into a disconcerting silence. The buzzing of the city outside would soften to a dull roar. And the cheerful tunes from the lobby elevator would turn to a haunting melody. It was as though the building itself was aging rapidly, decaying before my eyes. The luxurious carpets would wear out, the pristine white walls would become stained, and the glimmering elevators would rust. All around me, the signs of decay mounted, each one a grim reminder of the unsettling truth. I was stuck in a time loop, reliving the same day over and over again. And no, the tower wasn't just crumbling around me, it was mirroring my own personal decay. But I wasn't alone in this nightmare. The faces around me, they never changed. The tenants, the visitors, the janitors, the security guards, they were all trapped with me in this dystopian present. None of them seemed to notice the decay, the slow slide into oblivion. They carried on their lives, their conversations echoing my own thoughts, their laughter a hollow mockery of my despair. Sometimes when I caught their eyes, I saw a flicker of recognition, a brief moment when our eyes locked and we shared a silent understanding of our predicament. They knew, as I did, that we were stuck. Trapped in a broken reality where the sun never set. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. I watched seasons change outside while inside the tower remained frozen in its perpetual decay. The once vibrant hues of autumn were replaced by the stark monochrome of winter. The cheerful carols of Christmas were replaced by the haunting silence of a snow-covered city. All the while, I searched for a way out. I explored every nook and cranny of the building, hoping to find a hidden passage, a secret switch, anything that could break the cycle. But my efforts were in vain. Then there were the mirrors. At first, I hadn't paid much attention to them. I had assumed that in this decaying version of Nova, my reflection would be haggard, my eyes hollow, mirroring the bleakness of my surroundings. But that wasn't the case. My reflection was always perfect, flawless, a stark contrast to the dilapidated world around me. It was a puzzle I couldn't solve, a mystery that haunted me. Who was this man trapped in a decaying skyscraper? And why was he immune to the passage of time? One day, as I stared at my reflection, trying to decipher the enigma, something in the mirror moved. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was enough to send chills down my spine. My reflection blinked, and it was as though a wall had been shattered. The truth hit me like a tidal wave. I wasn't in a decaying building. I was decaying, trapped in a prison of my own making, and the cruelest irony was that I didn't even realize it. So if you ever find yourself facing a choice between two realities, remember this. Sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we create ourselves. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more stories like this.